Hello and welcome to Pemberley and Beyond. I'm Kat, your guide through the ever-expanding world of Jane Austen-inspired fanfiction, though today we're venturing slightly beyond the fanfiction tropes you've come to expect. In this bite-sized episode, we're exploring a very special anthology, Encounters with Jane Austen, celebrating 250 years. A collection of essays, short stories, poetry, and art reflecting on Austen's enduring legacy. To quote the blurb, "We will be celebrating Jane Austen's 250th birthday this year with this wide-ranging volume of essays, interviews, short stories, personal reflections, and poetry. This collection demonstrates the immense influence of Austen's writing as her novels continue to inspire modern adaptations and audiences. With an introductory overview of Austen's life and work by academic, author, and speaker, Professor Jenny Batchelor, over 20 contributors reveal the impact of Austen's timeless writing on their own journeys. Contributors include established authors like Catherine Ray and Julia Quinn, alongside artists such as Martin Jennings, whose Austen sculpture in Basingstoke is practically a pilgrimage site for fans. As this is an anthology, it isn't especially practical to talk about tropes across the book. Instead, I'm going to talk about some of the standout pieces from this anthology. Each piece is a personal encounter with Austen. Some were playful, some thoughtful, some challenging, but all made me think about Austen herself and her creations, or, as she saw them, her children. As there are 20 different pieces in here, I'm going to talk about my favourite of the fiction pieces in the anthology before talking about my favourite of the non-fiction pieces in it. For me, my favourite of the fictional pieces was Charlotte by Tallulah Riley. This was a modern-day take on Charlotte Collins' life. The piece starts with her reflecting on her friendship with Lizzie Bennet as she waits for her at a cocktail bar in London. Lizzie has remained unmarried for reasons we swiftly discover. When Lizzie arrives, the short story does a fantastic portrayal of the dynamic between two people who have remained friends over the decades for reasons unknown even to themselves. As the catch-up swiftly devolves into a frenemy-type point-scoring exercise, with Lizzie trying to get one up over Charlotte, we get a painfully realistic insight into modern-day female friendship with women of a certain sort. Who wins over the course of the evening? Well, we find out. No spoilers at all, but if you only have the chance to creep into a bookshop and read one of the stories in this anthology, this is the one I recommend. It gives the same surgical precision in dissecting female friendships and insecurities that Charlie XCX's album Brat did last year, albeit obviously without the hazy 2000s-inspired backing tracks. It is absolutely perfect for 2025. I don't think I've been this excited about a retelling or modern-day take on Pride and Prejudice since the Bridget Jones Diaries. It is absolutely up there. And as for the favourite non-fiction essay that I read, that was Austen's On-Screen Evaluation by Jen Francis. What I adored about this was the way that this essay didn't just reflect on her established legacy, but also looked forward. In the closing paragraph of Austen's on-screen evaluation, Jen Francis gently probes at the future of Austen adaptations. The following is a quote from the essay. "Whether it's a 6-part BBC miniseries that ticks all those British period drama boxes, or a TikTok musical, not yet, but let's be honest, entirely possible, Austen's world continues to hold a mirror to society as it infinitely reflects our world through her eyes and her pen." I loved the ways in which Jen Francis interacted with some of the many different mediums that have been used to retell different Jane Austen stories and her other works. Even the Lizzie Bennet Diaries gets a mention. It says, dip into short stories or simply admire the sculpture of Jane Austen. It's a beautiful reminder that Austen's influence is alive and very much still unfolding. You can find my full written review on the Wild Night Inn blog if you want a slightly deeper dive. And as always, I'd love to hear about your own Austen encounters, whether it's a favourite adaptation, a fanfic, or just a cherished passage from her novels. Until next time, keep wandering beyond Pemberley because Austen's world has many corners left to explore. Thank you so much for joining me today on this slightly different and much shorter than normal episode of Pemberley and Beyond. If you've enjoyed hearing about Austen's 250 legacy and her endless encounters, consider following this podcast so you can join me on future rambles through the wilds of Jane Austen-inspired fiction and beyond.